Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Time for Michigan's newest sports talk show, Mitten Madness.
And here he goes. Defense win championship.
Michigan sports talk from here in Battle Creek. The latest stories, the biggest games, all across the Mitten State.
That's not something to play with.
Streaming live and on demand on the 95.3 WBCK app. Your host, Da'Jzon Hughes.
Good morning on this Saturday morning. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and this is Mitten Madness. We are diving into another hour's worth of what is happening around the Mitten State in the athletic realm. We'll touch in with our Detroit Pistons as they prep for the playoffs. We have to say the unfortunate goodbye to the Red Wings. And then, of course, we got to get into all of the action with the Detroit Tigers as the beginning of their season starts to roll on, before talking about a certain team possibly making a return to the state of Michigan, and maybe some miscellaneous things like spring football for Michigan and Michigan State as well. But I'm doing great. Hopefully all of you are as well. Had a long week this week. Lots of lacrosse going on. I actually coached a lacrosse game today. So that's going to be pretty cool. As you're listening to this, I'm actually coaching. So hopefully we go out there and get a dub. But I'm still riding the high of the Michigan National Championship in basketball. So I'm feeling great. The Michigan lacrosse team really warming things up. They got that one dreaded team coming up this week. So maybe they can knock them down and take them down coming up here soon, which I'm really excited for that team to go out and battle against the one team that we hate the most and hopefully come out victorious. But it's time for us to dive into the happenings of this week and what that's going to be. We'll start with our Detroit Pistons, who ended the season at 60-22. Cade Cunningham led the squad with 23.9 points, 9.9 assists, just 3.7 turnovers, shooting 46.1% from the field and 33.9 minutes per game. Jalen Duren, 19.5 points, shooting 65% from the field with 10.5 rebounds and 28.2 minutes per game. Ausar Thompson, 2 steals, 1.5 turnovers in 26 minutes. And Isaiah Stewart, 1.6 blocks, 0.3 steals, 5 rebounds. The team scored 117.8 points per game, grabbed 45.6 rebounds, and dished out 27.8 assists. Those metrics teaming up are faring to be some of the best in the league. They ended up being third overall in the entire NBA, behind both the Thunder and the Spurs. Thunder, the best team in the NBA, at 64-18. The Spurs ended things at 62-20, just 2 games above the Pistons. Pistons were 4 games behind the Thunder. The playoff scenario is starting to form itself, so we'll get into that in just a few moments. But we want to talk about some exciting news, as Cade Cunningham has officially been ruled eligible for the 65-game rule for the awards. The NBA and MBPA have ruled in favor of Lakers Luka Doncic and Pistons Cade Cunningham on their extraordinary circumstances challenge for the 65-game award rule, making both eligible for all 25-26 season honors such as MVP and all NBA teams. I want to try and take a little bit of a closer look at this. As it says, they will be eligible for the end of season's awards after the NBA and National Basketball Players Association agreed Thursday that both will be allowed to bypass the 65-game threshold for eligibility requirements. The NBA's collective bargaining agreement includes an extraordinary circumstances clause that a player can use petition to make the ballot if he falls short of the 65-game minimum. Doncic played 64 qualified games, 20 minutes or more during the regular season, but he missed 2 games in December due to traveling for the birth of his child abroad. Cunningham played 63 qualified games, but he missed 12 games after suffering a collapsed lung in mid-March. He appeared in a 64th game, but only logged 5 minutes versus Washington on March 17th. Rather than those cases going to an arbiter, both the NBA and NBPA agreed to waive the rule for both players. They're glad that they're going to be able to get in and have their chance to fight for those awards, although this did come at the expense of Anthony Edwards, who played in 60 games this season, and his rule was put in front of an arbiter. The arbiter denied Edwards' case, however, and he will not be eligible for the end-of-season awards. Timberwolves coach Chris Finch, noting that Edwards doesn't get held out to rest, was not pleased about the decision and said he would like an explanation. But as of now, that's how it's going to be as Doncic and Cunningham get the nods to be eligible for the awards, while Anthony Edwards is on the outside looking in. Back to that playoff picture that we mentioned just a few moments ago. It's starting to come together. And I said starting because, well, most of it is there. There's just two teams that still have to punch their ticket, which sounds wild to say when the playoffs started last night. As you were listening to this they start today. They start later today. It's the 18th, excuse me. As you're listening to this on Saturday, they start on the 18th. Those games playing on the 18th, Nuggets and Timberwolves, it starts with the Cavs and Raptors at 1 p.m. Then it goes Nuggets and Timberwolves 3:30. Then it goes Knicks Hawks at 6, Lakers Rockets at 8:30. And then on the 19th, we have more games popping up. You got the 76ers and the Celtics, 1 p.m. And then at 3:30 p.m., you have the Thunder and the winner of the Suns and Warriors game in that final play-in game out in the West. Then 6:30 p.m., Pistons and the winner of Magic Hornets, the final play-in game here in the East. And then 9 p.m., the Spurs and the Trailblazers will battle. Those are the first round matchups as of now. When we take a look at the scores, we'll tell you kind of what happened earlier this week. Tuesday night, the play-in got started with the 9 and 10 game in the East as the Hornets took down the Heat in overtime off a LaMelo Ball late game layup to take the lead as basically time expires. Only about 3 seconds left. They were able to hold on and grab that win, ending the Heat season prematurely after we remember the Heat being in the NBA Finals just a few years ago. And then in a 7 and 8 place game out west, the Trailblazers and Danny Avdija did what they needed to do to move on. They beat the Suns 114-110. Avdija goes for 41 points, 7 rebounds and 12 assists, had a monster game to push Portland just over the hump, locked themselves in as the 7th seed to match up with the daunting Spurs squad out west. And then Wednesday, more action went down. You had the 7th and 8th place game in the East as the 76ers made it look like they had no business playing the Magic in this game, although they were both 45 and 37 on the year. They win a 109-97, a 12-point victory that was very impressive. Tyrese Maxey leads the way with 31 and 6. Meanwhile, the 9 and 10th place game out west, the Warriors outlast the Clippers, a phenomenal. Did I say phenomenal? I'm going to say it one more time. Phenomenal defensive possession from Saginaw native, Saginaw High native and alum, and Michigan State alum, 4-year player, almost won a national championship there. Draymond Green, as he locked down Kawhi Leonard late in this game to push the Warriors over the hump, get them the win, paired with Stephen Curry, who had 35 points in this game. Warriors win 126-121, setting up the matchups that you got to enjoy last night that I know nothing about at the moment. The Hornets took on the Magic, 7:30 p.m., and then the Warriors and Suns at 10 p.m. Both those games were on Prime Video, so y'all know who locked into those 8-seed games. I do not. But what I do want to take a look at is, well, the Pistons this season, they did play both the Hornets and the Magic. So when we take a look at those games, like I mentioned on the show last week, I feel much better maybe about the Magic than I do the Hornets. Not 100% sure. Going to take a look as we dive deeper. Detroit, when they matched up with the Magic this year, went 2 for 2 in their split, and they split the season series against them. 135-116 on October 29th in favor of the Pistons. 112-109 in favor of Orlando on November 28th. And then on March 1st, 106-92, Pistons win. And then Magic tied up the series late in the season on April 6th, 123-107. That was one of those games that was without Cade Cunningham. Meanwhile, let's find the Hornets and when Detroit played them, and we can get a chance to look at how the season series went against Charlotte this year. Found them here. Charlotte. Oh, I did the wrong thing I wanted to do here. Oh, going back. Sorry. This is phenomenal podcasting, by the way. Thank you for listening. Okay, here it is. Pistons, I mean, maybe we want them to play Charlotte. Maybe I was totally wrong about this Magic thing. 112-86. Guess who won that game? The Pistons. Yep, that was back on December 20th. And then Pistons go down to Charlotte on February 9th. They win 110-104. And then one more time, they go down to Charlotte again. They win 118-100. 4 out of 10? Or sorry, that was on April 10th. So you mean to tell me the Pistons were 3-0 against Charlotte this year? Or maybe I'm going crazy. They swept Charlotte. The Pistons swept Charlotte. I think that is the matchup that we want. So looking at what you guys got to view last night, and I actually will take the opportunity to look a little bit deeper into this game since I can talk about it. They gave Orlando just a 40% chance to win, a 60% chance for Charlotte. Charlotte was 3.5-point favorites, negative 155 on the money line, plus 130 for Orlando, 218 on the over-under. I mean, Moussa Diabate is a game-time decision with a hip, and so is Jonathan Isaac for the Magic with a knee injury. Charlotte typically gives up more points than the Magic do, but Magic have also had 2 losses in their last 2 games. They're both 3-2 as the Hornets lost to Detroit and Boston, beat Minnesota, New York, Miami, while the Magic beat Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago, but lost to Boston and Philadelphia. So I imagine this game is going to be tight. I imagine it's going to be competitive. I imagine it's going to be fun and will ultimately decide who our Pistons will play. Who do you want the Pistons to play? Hit that chat feature in the 95.3 The Ticket app. Tell us, would you rather they had played the Magic or the Hornets? Tell us your opinion on the game if you watched it last night. And also tell us kind of what your feelings are on this first round playoff series and where the Pistons could go in this first series, regardless of who they play. I'm going to take a closer look at this playoff bracket in the NBA. The Pistons, I think the one team they want to stay away from is the Cavaliers. So you're kind of hoping the Raptors beat the Cavs so that you don't have to see them, in the next round. But I think even they can get past the Cavs. The only other problem may be the Celtics. Maybe they get knocked out by the Knicks. The Knicks are hungry for the Celtics. They want to take down the Celtics bad. So if you can get some help there, the Pistons want to play the Knicks again. So ideally, the conference finals will be Pistons against Knicks, and that probably puts the Pistons in the NBA finals, which I think is bonkers to say when you look at where they were just a few seasons ago. But this team is good, this team is ready, and this team is hungry. So I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs. I do think they win the first round by 4-1. 4-0, 4-2, but they will not go to 7 before they move on and see who they play in the second round. When we come back from the break, we'll be talking about the Red Wings and the Tigers with more Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back into Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and we are about to flip the hardwood over in Little Caesars Arena and lay down some ice for just a short moment because we don't have much to talk about when it comes to the Red Wings, except, well, the unfortunate ending to their season. Things started off so promising for the Red Wings until the Olympic and All-Star break, and then everything went downhill. And they found themselves on the outside looking in as they ended the season at 82-41, in their 82 games, they're 41-31-10, ending with 92 points, which puts them just outside of the wild card race. This is how things fared out in the wild card, at least. The Boston Bruins were 45-27-10 for 100 points, and they grabbed the top wild card spot. The Ottawa Senators were 44-27-11 for 99 points and grabbed that second spot. Finishing above the Red Wings were the Capitals at 43-30-9 for 95 points. When you look at the standings, looking at the division in the Atlantic Division within the Eastern Conference, 5 teams clinched the playoffs. 5 teams clinched the playoffs. The other 8 came from the Metropolitan Division. So that only left 3 teams within the Eastern Conference that were eliminated from playoff contention: the Red Wings, the Panthers, and the Maple Leafs. Meanwhile, in the Metropolitan, the Capitals, the Blue Jackets, the Islanders, the Devils, and the Rangers all eliminated. The Sabres finished atop at 50-23-9 for 109 points. The Lightning 50-26-6 for 106 points, tied with the Canadiens, who were 48-24-10 for 106 points as well. And then the Bruins and Senators with 199, like we talked about earlier. Over in the Western Conference, completely different. The Avalanche, the best team in the NHL, at 55-16-11, 121 points. The Stars 50-20-12 for 112 points. The Wild 46-24-12 for 104, and the Mammoth 43-33-6 for 92 points. In the Central, all make the playoffs. The Blues, Predators, Jets, and Blackhawks eliminated. So it's 4-4 out west, as the Vegas Golden Knights were 39-26-17 for 95 points. Edmonton Oilers 41-30-11 for 93 points. The Ducks 43-33-6 for 92 points, and the Kings 35-27-20 for 90 points. All make the playoffs, while the Sharks, Kraken, Flames, and Canucks were eliminated from playoff contention. The leaders for this team over the season: DeBrincat, 41 goals, 15 on the power play, 287 shots. He also led the team in points with 85. He had 44 assists to go with those goals. Meanwhile, Lucas Raymond, 51 assists, 20 on the power play, a plus-minus of 1. On the goaltending side, John Gibson, the Triple Crown, Goals against average of 2.72. Save percentage of .901. That was on 1,461 shots. He made 1,317 saves and let up 144 goals. He won 29 of the games he appeared in. 2.91 goals per game for the team. They gave up 3.10, which was tied for 19th. 22.6% in the power play was 12th in the league. But the penalty kill at 77.1% was 23rd. Some serious issues, as you can see, clearly got in the way of the Red Wings having the type of season they were looking to have this year. When you look at how their season ended, well, there weren't many wins between the end of the All-Star break and the end of the season. So they got back to play on February 28th, and they were 1-0, and then 1-1, and then 2-1, and then 2-2, and then 2-3, and then 3-3, 3-4, 3-5, 3-6, and then 4-6, 5-6, 5-7, 5-8, 6-8, 6-9, 6-10, and then 7-11, or 7-10, 7-11, 7-12, 7-13, 8-13, 8-14, 8-15, 8-16. So they lost 1/3 of their final 24, or they won 1/3 of their final 24 games, lost the other 2/3, ended 8-16 in their final 24 games, and that ended up bouncing them from the playoffs. They ended on a 3-game losing streak as they lost to the Devils 5-3 in their last home game at Little Caesars Arena on April 11th, before going on the road for the final 2 games at Tampa Bay, and they lost 4-3 in overtime, and then they lost to the Florida Panthers 8-1 on the road to end out their last game of the year. I mean, that's a terrible way to go out. You already, ruined your playoff chances in your last few weeks, and then you play a horrible last game where you lose 8-1, and it seems like you weren't even trying in that game. That was the worst game that they had all year. Even in some of their shutouts, did I not think they played as bad as they played against the Panthers in their last game of the year. Hopefully this team can turn it around next year and can find themselves in the playoffs, but they have lots of work to do in the draft, in free agency, in the offseason with workouts in order to get back to the form that we all remember them being at. The team that holds the NHL record for the most playoff appearances, consecutive playoff appearances at 25. It's time to get back to that. But as of right now, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So now it's time for us to talk about, the Detroit Tigers. And our Tigers, they're a completely different squad than what they were last year. They're still kind of trying to put it together at this moment. But they're 10-9 after coming off of 2 sweeps in a row. They swept the Marlins at 2-0. 6-1, 8-2. Their most recent series was against the Royals. 2-1, 2-1, 10-9. Huge dubs, 6 in a row, pushes them back above the 500 mark, and they're on a 6-game win streak. They're 1 game behind the Twins, who are at the top of the AL Central. Cleveland sits a half game above Detroit at 11-9. The Royals sit 3 games behind the Tigers at 7-12. And then 4 games behind are the White Sox at 6-13. Looking at the current leaders, batting average is Colt Keith with a .317. His on-base percentage is .349. His slugging percentage .433. Dylan Dingler leads the squad in home runs and RBIs with 4 homers, 14 runs batted in, and he bats at a .283. On the pitching side, Tarek Skubal doing what Tarek Skubal does. 2.22 ERA. He's won 2 games. He's got 23 strikeouts. He leads the team in all 3 of those metrics. The team has 84 runs already this year, tied for 14th. They're batting a 2.45 as the team, which is 9th in the league. Their on-base percentage of .329 is 12th in the league, and their slugging percentage of .382 is 16th. Meanwhile, their earned run average of 3.66 is 8th in the league. Their quality starts at 9 is 4th in the league. Their whip at 1.27 is 12th, and their opponent batting average of .228 is 8th in the league. So they're really starting to warm up after having a slow start to the year. They started the year 2-1, before going on a road trip. Well, excuse me, they started on the road, won their first series 2-1 against the Padres before visiting the Diamondbacks and getting swept. So they were on a 4-game losing streak before bouncing back and going in a 2-1 series against the Cardinals before getting swept in a 4-game series against the Twins. And that's why this 6-game series, or this 6 wins that they have in a row in the 2 3-game series they had against the Marlins and Royals, is so key and important. It's an awesome and amazing time for them to find themselves not only back near the top of the AL Central, but possibly across the entire American League. When we look at the American League standings, I mean, they're right in the thick of it. The Tampa Bay Rays at the top at 11-7, and then 11-8, a half game back are the Twins. The Guardians at 11-9, 1 game back, and then all sitting a game and a half back from the Rays are the Rangers, the Athletics, the Yankees, and the Tigers at 10-9. 2 games back are the Angels at 10-10. Like right now, the American League is insane. There's a little bit more separation on the National League, but we could care less about that. The Tigers still in the middle of the pack when it comes to the entire MLB, and sitting right at the top are the Los Angeles Dodgers, like pretty much everybody expected. They're 14-4 early in this season. So what do the Tigers have coming up? Well, I won't talk much about their upcoming / ongoing series that started last night against the Red Sox, because I'll be doing much more of that during our picks later on in the show. Their midweek series will be against the Milwaukee Brewers. That's going to be Tuesday, April 21st, 6:40 p.m. First pitch. These games are at Comerica Park. Montero will be on the mound against Patrick Wednesday, April 22nd. Also a 6:40 p.m. first pitch. Casey Mize against Sproat. And then Thursday, April 23rd at 1:10 p.m. pitch on ESPN Unlimited and MLB TV. You will have Skubal versus Harrison for the last game of that series. Then the next weekend series, which we'll talk about more next week, will be Cincinnati on the road down in Ohio. Friday, April 24th, 6:40 p.m. first pitch, Valdez versus Abbott. Then on the 25th, you have a 7:15 first pitch on Fox, Flaherty versus Singer. And then April 26th, 1:40 p.m., Montero versus Lauder for the end of that series. As I mentioned, they will be playing Boston currently. They have Mize versus Suarez for game 1 last night on Apple TV, 7:15. 4:10 p.m. on MLB TV, NESN is Skubal versus Bello. And then on Sunday, Valdez versus Crotchet, 1:35 p.m. on MLB TV and NESN. And then 11:10 a.m. MLB TV, NESN on Monday, Flaherty versus Gray. So Tigers, a great chance for them to continue to boost their stock and continue climbing and build on this 6-game win streak that they currently have to try and find themselves back at the top of the American Central and back of the entire American League like they were last year. When we come back from the break, we'll be talking about Michigan State spring football and a team that may be returning to Michigan. But that's with more Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Carter Ostrauss here for the Council for Responsible Energy. I want to share a few quick, simple, and inexpensive tips that will not only reduce your home's energy use, but will also save you money on your utility bills. As you switch from heating to cooling, why not opt for a new programmable thermostat that will virtually pay for itself? This is one of the easiest things you can do to really see some significant savings. You can save about $180 a year by properly setting a programmable thermostat. Weather stripping can also significantly lower your bills. You just peel the backing off and seal up any leaks in drafty doors and windows. It only takes a few minutes, but you definitely notice a difference in both the temperature in the house and also your bills. And my last tip, check your home's insulation. Proper insulation in your attic, ceilings, floors, crawl spaces, exterior and basement walls can save you 30% on home energy bills. It's a little bit more work for you, but your wallet will definitely thank you.
A message from the Council for Responsible Energy.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm gonna keep ticking. But no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Mitten Madness. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and it's time for us to switch things over and talk about college for just a moment. Spring football is pretty much here, and Michigan Wolverines will be having their spring game today, 2 p.m. Their record last year was 9-4, and well, here's the storyline. Kyle Whittingham era has been launched in Ann Arbor, and Michigan's adjustment to its new coach will shape how the spring goes. Whittingham's line of scrimmage-based approach should resonate at Michigan, but he's not there for a slow build at age 66. The goal coming out of spring practice should be a clear identity, especially on offense with sophomore quarterback Bryce Underwood now working with the coordinator Jason Beck, who dramatically improved Utah's unit in 2025. Michigan has depth and talent in the offensive backfield, but must start getting more out of Underwood and a passing attack that ranked 105th nationally last year and ranks 127th nationally in totaling passing yards since the start of 2024. The position of intrigue is the defensive line. The group has been a strength for Michigan and for Whittingham's Utah teams as well. But first team all Big Ten selection Derek Moore is gone, along with Rayshon Benny and others. Moore and linebacker Jayshawn Barham accounted for 14 of Michigan's 28 sacks last season, and there's almost no returning pass rushing production. Whittingham's staff brought over John Henry Daly, who ranked second nationally in sacks per game for Utah in 2025, but he's recovering from a ruptured Achilles tendon. Edge Cam Brandt enters his fourth season with the program in Michigan. Also added defensive tackle Jonah Leia from Utah, but there's work to be done this spring in building the line depth. Obviously, quarterback Bryce Underwood is the player to watch. The Big Ten is loaded after 3 consecutive national titles, and it's hard to see Michigan rising up without Underwood taking a significant step. As a sophomore, the nation's #1 recruit eclipsed 200 passing yards in 5 of his first 7 games, only 2 interceptions before November, but he was picked off 7 times in his final 5 contests, including 3 times in the Citrus Bowl loss to Texas. Underwood needed a reset after 2025 and got one with Whittingham and Beck, who generated strong results the past 2 seasons with a different type of quarterback in Devin Dampier. Underwood established a good vibe with wide receiver Andrew Marsh, but Michigan must develop a more layered and reliable passing attack. Meanwhile, for the Spartans, their game will be today at noon, pretty much in just over an hour. They were 4-8 last year. Pat Fitzgerald makes his return to college coaching for the first time since July 2022. Fitzgerald has brought necessary enthusiasm to a Michigan State program that looked lifeless at the end of Jonathan Smith's brief tenure. Now he must show he can lead effectively during a time when rosters turn over every year, and the path to success in the Big Ten is significantly tougher than it was when he led Northwestern. Fitzgerald and his staff, which includes a key holdover and defensive coordinator Joe Rossi and key additions and special teams coordinator LeVar Woods and co-defensive coordinator Max Bullough, the former Spartan star get their first chance to work with players on the field. What type of identity will they shape this spring? Position of intrigue is offensive line. Michigan State needs better results from a group that ranked 123rd in sacks allowed last season and finished 110th in rushing offense. The return of quarterback Alessio Milivojevic provides some stability through the coaching transition, but MSU must protect him and create more room for its ball carrier. Senior tackle Connor Moore is back after starting every game in 2025, and senior Luka Vincic might have started at guard last fall if not for injury, which limited him to 47 snaps. But the group has holes to fill and depth to build and likely will lean on transfers such as tackle Ben Morowski from UConn, guard Nick Sharp from South Carolina, and center Trent Fraley, who won the FCS Remington Trophy last year at North Dakota State. Players to watch are cornerback Charles Brantley. Usually when a multi-year starter transfers out, he doesn't come back to his original school, but that's what happened with Brantley and MSU. Brantley made 24 career starts for the Spartans, including 11 in the 2022 season, and recorded 5 interceptions, 2 returned for touchdowns, and 18 passes defended during his time in green and white. He led MSU in interceptions with 3 and pass breakups 7 in 2024. Despite missing 3 games with injury, the 6-foot, 170-pound Brantley transferred to Miami after the 2024 season, but struggled to find any traction with the Hurricanes. Brantley now rejoins MSU as a 6-year player and will team with fellow transfer cornerback Trey Bell from Iowa State and others. I mean, no reason not to talk about Ohio State, right? They're 12-2. Their game's at noon tomorrow as well. The Buckeyes welcomed a new offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith, who takes over play calling for USF head coach Brian Hartline. Smith comes from the NFL, where he forged a strong reputation scheming up effective rushing attacks from the Titans to the Falcons and most recently the Pittsburgh Steelers. Smith will have talented rising sophomore running back Bo Jackson at his disposal. Jackson rushed for 1,090 yards and 6 touchdowns while averaging 6.1 yards per carry as a true freshman. Jackson also led the Big Ten with 4.18 yards after contact per rush. That running style should fit in nicely with Smith's hard-nosed rushing attack. Position of intrigue is linebacker, as both Ohio State starting linebackers last season and Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese could be top 10 picks in the upcoming NFL draft. That leaves linebackers as a question mark heading into the next season, especially given how productive both Styles and Reese were. Peyton Pierce, with 44 tackles last season, and Riley Pettyjohn are in line to take over the starting roles after serving as backups last season. Christian Allegro, who transferred in after racking up 124 tackles for Wisconsin, will be a key rotation player if he doesn't start. Sincere Johnson, the number 1 2026 recruit from the state of Ohio, who attended the same high school in Cleveland Glenville as Reese, has the talent and factor as well. Wide receiver Chris Henry Jr. is the player to watch, as wide receiver U did it again, adding the top-ranked wide receiver in the 2026 class. And Henry, also the nation's number 7 overall prospect. The hype surrounding Henry resembles that of Jeremiah Smith when he first arrived in Columbus 2 years ago. Smith went on in to immediately win a starting job, shatter Ohio State freshman receiving records, and snag the game-clinching catch late in the fourth quarter in the national championship victory over Notre Dame. At 6'5", Henry also already has the tools to make an immediate splash, complementing Smith with the other side of the field. That's all we have for football right now. But more important news, over in the WNBA, Detroit is getting a team back. That's right. The WNBA is bringing back basketball to Detroit. This is a huge win for Detroit in the WNBA. This marks a long hope for a return of the WNBA to a city with deep basketball roots and a championship tradition. Detroit played a key role in the league's early growth, and we're proud to reignite that legacy as the WNBA ascends to new heights. Our plans will bring new energy, investment, and infrastructure to our city and the WNBA and additional resources to our community. I'm excited about what we can accomplish together to advance women's professional sports and inspire a new generation of fans. I mean, this is exciting as they announced the historic 18 teams and the expansion, as they will have new teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia over the next couple of years. From what I am understanding from this, the team, here it is about Detroit. The Detroit WNBA ownership group is led by Tom Gores, his wife Holly, and some of the most accomplished women and men in global sports business, entertainment, media, and finance. Gores is owner of the Detroit Pistons and chairman and CEO of global investment from Platinum Equity. The WNBA is also making its return to Detroit, where the Shock played from 98 to 2000. winning 3 championships in 2003, 2006, and 2008, ranking in the top 5 in attendance for 5 consecutive seasons, and setting a single game attendance record of 22,076 fans at Game 3 of the 2003 NBA Finals. We have brought together an impressive array of investors who reflect the strength and diversity of Detroit. Added Gores, I'm excited about what we can accomplish together to advance women's professional sports and inspire new generations of fans. I'm grateful to our exceptional investor group, Commissioner Engelbert and the WNBA, for their trust in our vision and commitment to the people of Detroit. I'm trying to see when exactly the team is going to become, but it's tipping off in 2029. So we won't find out what the team name will be, what the jerseys will look like. I assume they're going to be playing inside of Little Caesars Arena. We'll also find out that all within the next 2 years, because with it being 2026, they got to have all of this panned out by 2028, because when the summer of 2029 hits, they're playing. So that means they got to have a squad, they got to have a coach, they got to have operations all intact. So we're going to find out very, very soon if the Detroit Shock will be making their return, which I pray. They have the naming rights. And bring back the old color scheme in jerseys too. Red, white, and blue, the Shock logo. I want it all, because that Detroit Shock team is an entity that should never be forgotten. I mean, those 3 championships, immaculate. And to do it so early on in their history as a team, phenomenal. So bring that back, revitalize that entity, and then you'll see fans come back and pour in as well. But when we come back from the break, we'll be doing our picks here on Mitten Madness on 95.3.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. Ditch the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Mike Rowe on the Skills Gap and how a student organization known as Skills USA is trying to fill it.
So the thing about Skills USA that's so cool, and the reason that my foundation has supported it for years, is that it's deliberately and intentionally focused on celebrating a skill. 3 million jobs right now exist in the trades and transportation and commerce. The skills gap is real. Training kids and getting them excited to do the jobs that exist ought to be job one. Skills USA does that in a big way. It's about excellence and competition and being good at what you do, and eventually, through all of that, learning who you are. Skills USA is working.
Learn more at microworks.com and skillsusa.org.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Welcome back to Mitten Madness. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, here on 95.3 The Ticket. It's time for us to get into our picks, which we do every single week. One of my favorite, who am I kidding, is literally my favorite part of the show. And don't forget, you can join in on all of the fun and play right along with us in the picks in the chat feature on the 95.3 The Ticket app. Just listen for the games that we're going to be picking between for the show. Listen to me talk and ramble about all the stuff that I know and all the knowledge I have, and I deliberate and do my research, and then I make my picks, and I tell you why I feel the way I do and who I think will win. And, of course, I think I know ball, but the question is, do you know you? And you get the opportunity to show how well you know ball by listening and doing your own research and deliberation for the picks, and then going back to the chat feature in the 95.3 The Ticket app and loading them into there and pressing send. So then we can see them on this end. We can add up your tally and see if you know ball better than I do. Don't forget, Jacob had 3 opportunities to take me down in this picks battle, and he was not successful any of those times. He lost not once, not twice. Well, yeah, he lost twice. Then he tied one time. That makes him 0-2-1. That makes me 2-0-1. That makes me undefeated. Somebody out there going to beat me, challenge me in the chat feature on 95.3, the Ticket app, and see if you know ball better than I do. But after the week I had last week, it's looking kind of hard for anybody to be challenging me anytime soon, as I went 5-1 last week. The Stallions were my lone loss, as the Battlehawks were able to come out victorious last week, winning that game. The Defenders beat the Gamblers. Oberg beat Paracha. The Devils beat the Red Wings. The Marlins lost to the Tigers. So, excuse me, I went 4-2 last week. I had the Marlins beating the Tigers. And they got swept. So that puts me at 4-2 on the week. And then the Renegades also won their game. So that bumps me to 4-2, which improves me to 33-20 on the season. 33-21 on the season, excuse me. Yeah, 33-21. Sometimes I can't do math, so don't worry about me. Everything's okay. So that's going to get us into this week. We got 6 more picks loaded up. The first we're going to dive into is going to be a UFC fight, and then we got 3 more UFL games loaded up before we talk about 2 MLB series to end things out. Excuse me. Our first pick, which is the UFC fight going down on Fight Night later today. Prelims at 5, main card at 8. Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. 22-9-0 for Burns, who stands 5'10", 170 pounds, 39 years old, 71 inches on the reach, orthodox in his fighting stance. Lands 3.15 significant strikes per minute and and lands them at 56.29% on the accuracy. Meanwhile, Mike Malott, 13-2-1. He's 6'1", 171 pounds, 34 years old, 73 inches in the reach. Orthodox fighter, lands 3.93 significant strikes at 53.09%. This one's tough because Burns is experienced. He's not really that old, but he has been in and out of the ring left and right in all kinds of battles. He prepared for a long fight or a short fight. He's prepared for a fight down on the ground or a standing fight. He's prepared for any type of battle that you could imagine. But then again, that youngness sometimes, the energy that comes with not having as many fights in the ring and being a few years younger pays off. And I'm going to go with Mike Malott to come out victorious in this fight against Gilbert Burns. It was a tough choice because I think Burns is going to come out and is going to be swinging, but I think the age factor is going to come in here key, and Malott is going to come out victorious as the Canadian in his home country, as this is in Winnipeg, Canada, against the Brazilian, which gets us over into the UFL. We'll start with those dreaded Battlehawks who have been the bane of my existence. They're playing April 18th. That's later today, 12:30 p.m. against the Defenders. Both these teams are 2-1 so far in this season. The Battlehawks are 65 points for, 71 against, -6 in their point differential. Meanwhile, the Defenders are 99-49, a +50 in their score differential, mainly because of how things went for them in week 3 when they took down the Gamblers 45-7. But either way, they have done a great job of putting points on the board. Even in their one loss to the Defenders earlier this year, they lost 16-10, and that game was on the road. Meanwhile, Battlehawks put up 15 in week 2. Then last week in week 3, they put up 34. So they finally kind of blossomed, but not to a point to where I can have enough to pick them. I'm still going to rock with the Defenders here, who have done me well. I've picked them for 2 weeks in a row. They've come out victorious. No reason to switch things up now. Third time's the charm. And it's the rematch against the Battlehawks. They're the home team. They remember from just a couple weeks ago what happened in that game. A tough loss for them, only losing by 6. So I think the Defenders come back and get their get back and get this one back in blood with a W for the Defenders. That's going to move us on to the Storm and Stallions, who play April 18th later today, 4 p.m. on Fox. The Storm are 3-0. The Stallions are 1-2. I want to be able to talk a lot about this game, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. There are two teams in the league that are 3-0. They are the Storm and the Renegades. The Storm currently 71 points for, 52 against for a plus 19. Meanwhile, the Renegades 95 for, 55 against for a plus 40. So it clearly looks like the Renegades might be a better squad than anyone else in this league, and they're really pushing to have an immense amount of success. Meanwhile, the Stallions are 1-2, picked up their first win last week over the a couple weeks ago. They lost last week to the Battlehawks in a tight game, only losing by 4. They're 65 and 69, points for, 65 points against 69, -4 on the season is their point differential. So the Stallions increasingly getting closer. But when you're playing a 3-0 team, an undefeated team that's rolling at a plus 19 score differential, like we see with the Storm, I got to rock with Orlando until I have another reason not to. That's going to get us into our last game between two teams who just played last week, in which we saw the Renegades take down the Aviators 28-23. The Aviators have a chance to get back right away. The 3-0 Renegades will take on the 0-3 Aviators. As you guys know, this game was last night as you're listening to this on Saturday. I get a chance to pick this on a Friday because I do what I want. 8 p.m. So do the Renegades beat the Aviators? I don't know, but I think so. They already did it once. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially in a row, but I'm not sure the Aviators have enough to get their first win against Renegades, who have been on an absolute tear, plus 40, 3-0. I think they only improve to that metric after this weekend. That takes us into our MLB baseball action for the weekend. We'll start with the Braves, who are coming up to Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia to take on the Phillies. Game 1 was last night, 6:40 p.m. The Braves are 12-7 coming into the game, 4-3 on the road. They have Martin Perez pitching against Taijuan Walker. A 57.7% chance for the Braves, 42.3% chance for the Phillies. The Braves come into this series on a 3-2 in their last 5. Meanwhile, the Phillies come in 2-3 in their last 5. They did most recently lose their series against the Cubs 2-1, while the Braves won their most recent series against the Marlins 2-1. This is just the start of the abundance of games that they will play against each other this year. Game 2, a 49.3% chance for the Braves, a 50.7% chance for the Phillies. This will be Chris Sale against Christopher Sanchez. So which Chris will come out victorious is the real question here. Not a lot of metrics change except the time of day. This one is going to be later today, 7:15 p.m. on Fox. And then game 3 will be Grant Holmes against Andrew Painter, as they give the Braves a 52.8% chance to win, a Phillies a 47.2% chance to win this game. This is 7:20 p.m. Sunday on Peacock. As much as I would love to go with the metrics that ESPN has, because a lot of the times they are correct, you're crazy if you think I'm going against Philly. I'm like a Philly adjacent plant. Like, I love being in Philly, one of my favorite cities in the entire world. So I like a lot of their sports teams as well. The Eagles can stay where they're at, but the Phillies are one that I don't mind rooting for from time to time. And this is one of those times. I'm going to take the Phillies to take down the Braves because me and all my homies hate the Braves. So you remember that. That's going to get us into our last pick of the weekend, as we are picking the series for both of these baseball actions. A 4-game series with our Tigers taking on the Red Sox. This series will be at Fenway Park in Boston. Boston 7-3, but they're 3-3 at home, or 7-11, but they're 3-3 at home. Meanwhile, the Tigers 10-9, 2-8 on the road. So serious problems for the Tigers on the road. A 41.8% chance for the Tigers in game 1, a 58.2% chance for the Red Sox. This game was last night as you're listening to this. Mize went against Suarez. That was 7:15 p.m. Apple TV. MLB TV, along with the New England Sports Network and Tigers.tv, will have the next couple of games, the next 3 to be exact. 61.3% chance for the Tigers to win game 2, a 38.7% chance for the Red Sox, and that's mainly because Tarek Skubal will be on the mound against Brayan Bello. So I think we all expect Skubal to come out with a win, but if he doesn't, then the Tigers may seriously be in some trouble, even though they're coming in on that 6-game win streak. The Red Sox lost their most recent series to the Twins 1-2 in those games, and then they also had 1-2 previous against the Cardinals. That gives them 3-2 in their last 5. That's a 4:10 p.m. game later today. And then tomorrow, 1:35 p.m. on the same channels, 43.5% chance for the Tigers, 56.5% chance for the Red Sox, as Framber Valdez will pitch against Garrett Crotchet. And then on Monday, April 20th, 11:10 a.m., same channels, 42.4% chance for the Tigers, 57.6% chance for the Red Sox. Flaherty versus Sonny Gray. I'm going to pick the Red Sox simply just because this game is on, or these games are on the road for this series. And right there, 2-8. It's hard to win games on the road. They might steal 1 or 2, but I don't think it's going to be too plausible that they steal too many games. So I've got Mallet, the Defenders, the Storm, the Red Sox, the Phillies, and the Renegades. Don't forget to catch your Tigers coverage here on 95.3 The Ticket. We'll be back with more Mitten Madness next week. Enjoy your weekend and a full week of sports before we're back to talk about it next week right here on Mitten Madness on 95.3 The Ticket.
Join Da'Jzon Hughes every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Mitten Madness on 95.3 WBCK. Miss the show or want to run it back? Stream Mitten Madness on demand on the WBCK app. Sponsored by AirwayCashForJunkCars.com.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. Ditch the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.